Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die, they stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith with your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. Thank you everyone for joining me. Last week, I wasn't here. I was in the hospital. The week prior to that, we spoke about the oil and gas bill, foreign trade, international exchange, the U.S. Treasury, Iraq's 5-year plan, and the CBI's procrastination. And now we're back in the studio. I'm strong. I have my strength back. So if you ever wonder where I'm at and I'm not here on YouTube, you can always find me daily on Patreon, just as a little friendly reminder. So let's get right into this week's headlines. First of all, it's good to be back. A government committee under the Prime Minister's guidance has announced the launch of 24 strategic projects in Iraq. The Service Committee of the 40th visit in Baghdad has announced the launch of 24 strategic projects for millions of visits. The committee, chaired by Razak al-Yaqubi, highlighted the importance of the Arbanine visit and the projects launched in the Holy Province of Karbala, including a train between Holy Karbala and Najaf, air-conditioned pedestrian bridge, and 2-floor squares. Iraq has agreed to work with BP to develop oil and gas fields, but the exact compensation for this agreement remains unknown. Iraq is set to share profits with BP to develop large oil and gas fields in Kirkuk region of northern Iraq, as the country seeks to move away from low-margin services contract production, growth, and attraction of West energy companies. BP has turned to other countries offering better terms, citing Iraq's conventional oil service contracts as a barrier to higher oil prices. The contracts for Kirkuk, Bay Hassan, Jambar, and Kabaz fields will be based on profit-sharing models. The final agreement is expected to be completed by the end of this year, while BP expects negotiations to be completed by the end of 2025. Iraq's the second largest oil producer in OPEC, has the capacity to produce 5 million barrels per day. Guys, the news has been slow over the last 2 weeks. However, back on the 16th, I know it's August 23rd, but on the 16th, there was an article that came out about Iraq's ascension into the World Trade Organization. So let's start there. Iraq's resumed the World Trade Ascension talks after 16-year hiatus. Iraq's Trade Minister, Athir Dawood al-Ghurari, has resumed parliamentary meetings for Iraq's World Trade Ascension after a 16-year pause. Negotiating teams are preparing for a third working group meeting, which will review the complete files and documents prepared by the National Committee. The first meeting discussed key files and documents submitted by Iraq, while the third meeting will review the completed files and documents. However, there's been some juicy updates with the World Trade Organization. We're going to continue on this subject. The Trade Minister, Athir Duad Salman, chaired the negotiation team for Iraq's ascension to the World Trade Organization in Geneva, announcing further ascension of Iraq. The Iraqi Minister of Commerce stated that Iraq is continuing to complete procedures, support reforms and legislation, and enhance its economic capabilities through the National Committee on its ascension to the World Trade Organization. However, economist expert Bassem Rad called the Iraqi government to delay Iraq's ascension to the World Trade Organization. Later in the week on Thursday, Rad argued that Iraq, with the observed observer status seeks to join the organization after removing political restrictions that prevent it, including its exit from Chapter 7's procedure of the United Nations Charter. However, Reid argued that demands of the World Trade Organization requires access to markets and free trade, which could negatively affect rebuilding the productive industrial and agriculture sectors. He suggests that Iraq should be cautious before seeking to join the organization and work towards economic reforms and diversification of local productions. And in the beginning of the week, the Kurdistan Finance has announced a deposit of approximately 700 billion dinars to fund the salaries of the region's security forces. The Kurdistan Regional Ministry of Finance and Economy has announced the deposit of approximately 700 billion dinars by the federal government for the salaries of the security forces in the region for May and June. The funds were deposited into the banks of accounts of the Kurdistan Regional Government. The Kurdistan officials claimed that there was no political or legal issues, but rather technical issues and audits of the Peshmerga forces and international security forces. It'll be nice when they can just do these deposits without having to announce it, and it just becomes a part of their structure routine. And France is preparing to contribute to the development path. France is ready to contribute to the completion of the development path project and emphasize Iraq's participation in the Baghdad Summit Conference next November. Ambassador Patrick Durrell emphasizes the strategic partnership between France and Iraq, which includes cooperation in security and defense. He highlighted the importance of the Baghdad Summit in supporting Iraq, and it addresses common challenges such as water, climate change, biodiversity, protection, and vulnerable groups. Durrell also highlighted the unity of Iraq and the vitality of relations between the region and the federal government. He emphasizes the need for France and its companies to contribute to the diversification of the local economy, the development of services, and the resumption of French archaeological missions. And economists predicts the continuation of the difference in the dollar exchange rate and explains the reasons behind it. Economist Chella predicts that the dollar exchange rate will continue to rise, with the difference between the official central bank price and the parallel market price remaining. This is due to the increase in demand from traders and citizens and the lack of supply. The Central Bank of Iraq is required to comply with international financial transfer systems. Local stock exchanges in Iraq record an exchange rate per dollar at 1490 dinars, while the Central Bank of Iraq reports it at 1320 dinars. There was a lot of things that I want to cover without leaving that out for this channel here on YouTube. So we are going to cover this. Removing zeros from a currency is a procedure used by some countries to revalue the national currency and signify financial transaction. This involves removing a specific number of zeros from the national value of the currency, making it appear less inflation and more stable. For an example, if the currency is the dinar and its value is 1,000 dinars, after removing 3 zeros, its value will become 1 new dinar. One reason for deleting the zeros is to combat inflation, as high normal values can become impractical for large daily transactions. Deleting the zeros can enhance confidence in national currencies, facilitate accounting operations, and improve the country's image before investors and international communities. However, challenges such as printing new currencies, modifies accounting systems, and trainings on using the new currencies may arise. The number of cases of currency zeros remains is estimated at 70 worldwide since 1960s. The governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Ali Al-Alaq, announces that the project to remove zeros from Iraq's dinar is still ongoing. These steps simplify buying and selling processes, making financial amounts simpler and made understandable, and helps assuring small currencies like coins. Countries aim to remove zeros to restore confidence in the local currencies, increase demand, and become more competitive for foreign currencies. The policy of deleting zeros is often linked to border economic reform, such as rising interest rates on bank deposits and encouraging people to save. The Iraqi government is considering removing zeros from the Iraqi dinar to stimulate the economy, but the decision has been criticized for its potential cost. The removal of the 3 zeros from the dinar could lead to increased inflation and price levels, which could lead to assurance of larger denominations of money. The financial advisor to Iraqi government, Mauser Mohammed Chella, explains that the continuous rise in prices lead to erosion of value of monetary units, necessitating the issuance of larger denominations. The central bank's statement about implementing the projects has been backed down for undisclosed reasons, and banking consultant Abdul Rahman al-Sheikhli recalls the printing of the Iraqi dinar in 90s, which was done by poor printing press. The discrepancy between the official exchange rate and the parallel market exchange rate was an obstacle to the project's implementation. Al-Sheikhli suggests that the project will be successful if the exchange rate of 1,000 dinars for every $1 is reached, which would enable the removal of the three zeros. The government calls to legislate the infrastructure law, which leads to increased investments in Iraq through deferred payments and also impact the project. However, the removal of the zeros from the Iraqi currency could be a real start to stimulate the local economy, especially as oil economy needs to stimulate other productive sectors to drive the local economies. And lastly, Iraq has been removed from the gray list of money laundering activities. Iraq's Office of Money Laundering and Financing of Terrorism has announced that the country is not on the gray list of money laundering due to the establishment of updated confidential databases that meet international requirements. The 14-month manual international assessment by the international expert groups aim to assess technical compliance with legal framework, regulations, instructions, and control to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. The evaluation report was approved by the Middle East and North Africa's Financial Working Group, the MENAF. ATF in May. The Office for Combating Money Laundering and Financing of Terrorism in Iraq supervises and follows up with authorities to implement strategic objectives for 2023 through 2027. The evaluation by the Middle East and North Africa's Financial Action Task Force, the MENAFATF, addresses technical compliance with legal elements, regulations, and instructions relating to combating money laundering and terrorist financing. The announcement of Iraq's exclusion from this list of development countries in money laundering operations has sparked controversy among Iraq's financial and economic specialists, while the non-inclusion of Iraq on the gray list is considered very positive. And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith with your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics of Iraq. I bring you the latest dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section below. Guys, I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me this week. We went over on time, but that's because I wanted to cover 2 weeks worth of data, not just the one. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted dinar news. I'll see you guys next week. Take care, everyone. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.